Let's talk about what's going on in the culture. So, um, this boxer, Terrance Crawford, is somebody that I've heard about. Um, I don't know if I've ever seen him box anybody, but I feel like he is a big deal. Um, he, I want to say, is he the guy that fought recently and he gave the belt back to the other guy that was boxing?
So let me help my brother out.
Is that who I'm talking
Is he
about?
the guy who gave the belt to the other guy? So for sports fans, Ramses sounds insane, ridiculous even, asking if he's the guy that fought recently and gave the belt back to the other guy. So for the audience, especially those of you in Southern California, the other guy is Canelo Alvarez, arguably the most famous Mexican boxer of all time. Ramses refers to him as the other guy. Terrence Crawford, on the other hand, if you said he was the best boxer ever, no one could dismiss it out of hand. So, arguably the best boxer ever and the most famous and rich, wealthy, successful Mexican boxer ever fought recently. And Ramses says, isn't he the guy that gave the belt back to the other guy?
Okay, let me clear it up because I mean no offense. I'm
I
not
know it
into.
sounds abusive, but I love my brother.
Well,
But his lack of sports knowledge sometimes is hilarious.
yeah, yeah. Well, I knew we were going to talk about this story, and I didn't necessarily connect it with that fight. But when I hear you say the details, then I'm like, okay, you're right. Now, to be fair, I know of some boxers, but I know of like Floyd Mayweather. Of course, I know of Mike Tyson. Some I know of a guy named Buster Douglas. Because of Mike Tyson, I'm assuming. And then there's a Golden Boy. He's a famous boxer too. He has like a popular name. And then
His
this
name is
guy,
Oscar
Oscar
De
De La
La
Hoya.
Hoya.
Yes, I couldn't. It just I don't like seeing people fight, man. It's just not my thing. I mean, I guess there's some special highlights or whatever, but a long fight, it's not my thing. I don't. Anyway, so this guy was held at gunpoint during a traffic stop. So for the first time, I'm going to be reading this story, and obviously Q's going to share his thoughts. But I think that maybe we might both have some space for reflection. So this from CNN: renowned boxing champion Terrance "Bud" Crawford was ordered out of his vehicle at gunpoint and given a citation for reckless driving. Police said just hours after a victory parade in his honor in his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. According to a press release from Omaha Police, the incident occurred in the early hours of Sunday morning and has promoted an internal affairs investigation. On Saturday, Crawford had attended a celebratory parade in Omaha to mark his victory over Canelo Alvarez earlier this month, which saw him crowned the undisputed world super middleweight champion. Footage of that has been widely circulated on social media, apparently shows Crawford getting out of a car at gunpoint during a traffic stop. Quote, while speaking with the driver, an officer observed a firearm on the driver's side floorboard, unquote, said the police press release. The press release goes on to say, for safety, all four occupants were ordered out of the vehicle at gunpoint. Quote, the driver was later identified as Mr. Crawford upon verification of his driver's license and was issued a citation for reckless driving. One passenger, a member of Mr. Crawford's security team, was also found to be carrying a legal firearm. And the quote continues, police have confirmed that all occupants are legally permitted to carry firearms. A police supervisor and lieutenant responded to the scene at Mr. Crawford's request, unquote. A spokesperson for Crawford told CNN Sports that the 38-year-old has no comment on the incident. On Sunday, Omaha Mayor John Ewing said that he had spoken personally to Crawford about the traffic stop. Quote, I acknowledge the seriousness of what occurred and how trust between law enforcement and our community is important and shows the need to be continuously vigilant about building relationships, unquote, Ewing added. There's another quote. Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmader has pledged an internal investigation, which I support and want to be full and thorough. We will gather all of the facts and they will be transparent with the public about our findings. All right. With his victory over Alvarez in Las Vegas, Crawford unified a weight division for the third time in his career. He has a 42-0 professional record with 31 knockouts and is considered to be one of the greatest pound for pound boxers of all time. So that's good, and now that I'm fully up to speed, I didn't know he was that good of a boxer. Again, I was thinking Floyd Mayweather sounds like a big name, and that's a name that I just know. It's just people say it, I think, more. But I didn't see this video. I didn't see this video. And you did see the video. So talk me through it.
The video is not much to see.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to see it to know exactly how it went. We've lived it. It's the same experience we had, except guns weren't pointed at us already. And they're saying now that the officer noticed a gun on the driver's side floorboard. I just want people to find that video and watch it, and then imagine how difficult it is for that to be the truth. Now, after Bud got out of the car, is it possible that they then found a gun in the car on the driver's side floorboard? Of course. But from where he's standing when he approaches the car with his gun already drawn, the idea that he saw a gun on the driver's side floorboard just doesn't seem very plausible. He saw a black man driving a car, which I guess is reason enough to draw your gun. And then you find out everybody in the car not only has a license to drive a car, but a license to carry a gun. One of those people being paid security for one of the most successful, rich, and famous people in the history of the city they were in. So, much ado about nothing is how they want us to feel about this. They want it to happen so much that we become numb to it and that we don't react, and it's not a story. But here we are, man, telling the same story again. Insert name here, famous celebrity or person you've never heard of, right? There's some things that all these stories have in common. A police officer and a black man. And the justification for drawing your gun, we'll figure that out somewhere along the way.
Can I add to this that I recognize, because, I do more than you, but I have to spend some time. I try to minimize the time, but I do have to spend some time in those like far right corners of the internet where it's like a cesspool of disinformation and racism and all that sort of stuff. And you remember we spoke about the didn't do nothing memes and whatever that comes from that part of the culture, I guess the collective American culture. I think a prominent narrative over there is that black people cherry pick incidents, string them together to try to cultivate a narrative that suggests that the police are unfair to them, when in reality, if black people weren't doing anything wrong, the police would have no problems with them, right? And if you only subscribe to that type of information, you might end up thinking that, if Ramses, if I only consume that information, I might think like, man, you know what? These guys are just doing this to themselves. These black people are just, all they have to do is listen to police. Who wants to wake up as a police officer and go out and just shoot people? That's not what police do. I would think that if I only consume that information. However, I am Ramses. And this happened to me. Remember I told you the story about the police when they pulled me out of my car at gunpoint on my way to school, and then they went through my backpack and threw all my stuff on the ground, and they handcuffed my cousin, they handcuffed me, and they ripped my skin off of my arms, and I was bleeding when I got to class, and I was late, and I had a note, and they just told me I fit the description for a suspicious character, and then they just let me go on my way. I never got any justification. They got to hurt me. They got to hurt my cousin. He's 6'6", actually. He's like a really big guy. And they treated him so bad, and I watched it happen. And he was having an asthma attack. That's why we were awake that early, to get an inhaler in a yellow car. So if I didn't see it myself, I might think that. But unfortunately, I've seen it many times. So anyway.